The least surprising lawsuit of all time has finally dropped, and if you didn't see this one coming, I don't know what to tell you. Nintendo and the Pokemon Company are suing Pocketpair, the developers of Palworld. You remember Palworld, don't you? That game that everybody was saying was Pokemon with guns? Except they actually liked it. Yeah, it turns out that Palworld was pretty successful. It was one of the most played games at the time of its release on Steam. And you just know that had to eat away at Nintendo. According to a post from @Wario64 over on Twitter, it says, Nintendo with the Pokemon Company have filed a patent infringement lawsuit in the Tokyo District Court against Pocketpair Inc. This lawsuit seeks an injunction against infringement and compensation for damages on the grounds that Palworld, a game developed and released by the defendant, infringes multiple patent rights. Nintendo will continue to take necessary actions against any infringement of its intellectual property rights, including the Nintendo brand itself, to protect the intellectual properties it has worked hard to establish over the years. Now, by itself, Nintendo suing Pocketpair is not that big of a surprise. What is a surprise, though, is they're not going after them for copyright violations. In this case, Nintendo is suing for a patent violation, which means there's something in the gameplay that Nintendo claims they own. However, Palworld has been a thing that's existed for several years at this point, and the fact that it got a full interview in Game Informer and even was featured in the Summer Games Fest means that Nintendo had to have known about this game before it was released. How many times have we seen over the years Nintendo shut down a fan game just from having a little bit of attention put on it? That's one of the issues with dealing with Japanese copyright laws. They are strict. I've talked before on this channel about how Nintendo acts the same way that Toei Animation did, and if any of you are Dragon Ball fans and know about the YouTube channel Totally Not Mark, you know what he went through when Toei tried to have his YouTube channel shut down because he used footage from the anime and movies of Dragon Ball to review the manga series. But the surprising thing about this case is that Pocketpair is also a Japanese company. And the head of that company has said that there were no violations of any copyright or anything legal when they were making the game. It supposedly was cleared. So I'm guessing that because Nintendo did not sue them for copyright infringement, they were probably told that the designs, even though they are very similar, are changed enough and aren't presented as Pokemon, so there's not really much they can do. But we know how Nintendo likes to flex the strength of the law, and they will do anything they can to get a legal precedent changed if they have to. Just look at how Nintendo continues to insist that emulation is piracy, even though the practice of emulation itself is legally protected. When Nintendo took down Yuzu, remember, they claimed that Tears of the Kingdom was downloaded 1 million times and that hurt the sales of the game. When in reality, Tears of the Kingdom would go on to become one of the best-selling Switch games. It's currently number 9 overall in the Switch's lifespan. Even worse than the fact that we had lost a 3DS emulator was the fact that the devs for it had to put out a statement, and that statement had them openly condemn emulation in all forms and equate it to piracy. That was the absolute worst thing to come out of the situation regarding Yuzu and Citra. So now all they have to do is just sue somebody else for making a Nintendo emulator, point to that statement from the Yuzu devs and say, look, we have an emulation team right here saying that emulation is piracy. We win! And it will probably work. It didn't matter that Nintendo didn't have the legal right to shut down an emulator just for being an emulator. They were able to set a precedent through pressure. And that's what I'm afraid is happening in this Palworld case. And that might explain why it's taken them so long to take any legal action at all. I think the smarter move would have been to try to sue them for copyright infringement anyway, even if they ended up losing, because that one was a much more solid argument, and you could at least then have people backing your side, because a lot of those designs were rip-offs. But I don't think you're going to get the public on board with arguing that only you should be allowed to create monster catching games. Now I'm going to copy every YouTuber ever and tell you to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. And that's all I got for you. So now, I'm going to go call up Bandai Namco, and we're going to see who owns the patent for creature evolution. Because I don't want to lose Digimon 2